Hello, everyone. My name is Alexander Lucard, and I am an HMIS System Administrator for Montgomery County. Today's training is the second of 4 parts regarding income errors, how to find them, and how to correct them. If you are watching this one first, please stop and go back and watch the first income errors training, because we will occasionally refer to that one. Again, this is the second of 4 income error, how to find them, and how to fix them trainings for the county. So let's get right into it. I know the first training was extra long. And what we're going to do is we're going to go into a test client and see if we can find out what's wrong with this client's income section. We're going to go to client point. And we're going to enter the first 2 letters of the first name and last name. We don't have to enter the full name because we only want to do a full letters in case the name's misspelled, or in case that it might be spelled slightly differently from how we're thinking. Like maybe we're thinking Jon and it's John, or Jonathan. In this case, we're looking for a Brandy Rhodes. So we're just going to do the first 2 letters of the first and last name. Doesn't have to be capitalized. It's not case sensitive. We click search. And here we can see that we have 1 client in the system. If we're doing our checks properly, we look at our files on our end and we go, oh, yep, this is the right social security number, date of birth. So we know we have the right person. We want to look at those unique identifiers to make sure that we are in the right client in case they have a common name like Michael Jackson, Fred Johnson. We're going to click on them and we're going to go in and we're going to look at their income. And we're going to try and see what it is and how to fix it. Remember, to look at the income, you always want to go into the entry exit. You can view things on the client profile, but we never actually want to make changes on there. Client profile should be for view only, because otherwise information is going to be messed up when we go to the reports. All changes we want to do under entry exit and the interims that are under that. So let's go in here. We're going to click on the project start date, click on the pencil, save and continue because we aren't changing their project start date. And we're going to always look. And when we look at income errors, we're going to look at the entry section first, and we're going to look at every interim a client has. In this case with Brandy, she doesn't have any interims, which is fine. Sometimes you aren't going to have an interim, especially if they're a new client. So let's scroll down to the income section. And here's what we have. Remember, the income section starts here with income from any source. We have the HUD verification matrix, and then the total monthly income question. All 3 of these questions must add up logically. They must be unified. And that's what we're going to look at here. So we can see income from any source is yes, and total monthly income is $250. So we are saying that this client makes $250 a month in some sort of income. And remember, there are 15 different types of income sources for a client in HMIS. So let's take a look. And there are 2 different ways we can look to see where the income is. The first is here under source of income. We can just keep hitting the next button until we scroll through all 15. Notice there's no amount there. 6 to 10, nothing, 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 nothing. And then nothing, 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 nothing. So we show nothing here in monthly account. If you want to view it easier, you can either go to the magnifying glass, which will show you all of them on one screen, so you don't have to hit the next, but it is a little bit long and you'll have to scroll. And also the HUD verification. You can click on that and take a look. So I've looked through all of these, and did you see where the error is? Let's take a look again. We have, yes, there's income coming in. We have $250. But if we look under the HUD verification matrix, we see that there is no dollar amount in any of the 15 questions. And what this means is, if we don't see a dollar amount, it means that it's $0. And so if each of these are $0, we have what's called a logical fallacy. So we're saying $0 in the matrix here and 250 here. So we're going to get an error because we can't have 0 here and 250 here. These 2, the dollar amounts under the monthly income section, must equal the same amount as the total monthly income. As well, we can see income from any source here, yes. And as we looked on the magnifying glass or HUD verification, no, 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 no. but yes here. These three questions, income from any source, monthly income and benefit, and total monthly income, must all be congruous. They must all have the same set of logic. So if this is yes, then there should be a yes here. And if there's some income from any source, there should be a dollar amount, and that dollar amount should match what's in total monthly income. So we see that monthly income and benefits, the HUD verification section, is not matching up with income from any source and total monthly income. These two questions are saying yes, but monthly income, the HUD verification, is saying no. So what do we do in this situation? Well, it all comes down to having really good records on your program side. What you would do is you'd look at those records, because again, this is the project start date. This is when the client first comes into the program. And so you look, because somewhere you should have something. You should have pay stubs, or they should have declared their income and how much they are making on their client intake forms. So you should have something to refer back to see which is right. There should be something there on your end, because HMIS is not infallible. The HMIS servant point system is only as good as the data you put into it. So it's only as good as the people that are putting the information in. It can't magically figure out which of these is right and which is wrong. We can only do that on your end by making sure you have quality records to confirm what's in HMIS. So if I was a case manager in this situation and I found this error, I would go back to my records for this client, to Brandy Rhodes records, whether it's physical, whether it's electronic, and I would figure out which is correct. Does Brandy actually have income coming in? And then we would make the correction therein. So let's say she doesn't have income. Let's say that the HUD verification part, no, is right. And what we would do, and remember, this is based on their entry into the program. This is not like 3 months later on, they turn out to have a new source of income or they got a raise or something, because we are in the client entry. So this income under this page has to be 4/6/2021, the day they came into the program. How much were they making on 4/6/2021? So we would go, if it turns out that the monthly benefits is right, no, and that income from any source and total monthly income are wrong, this is a pretty easy fix. All we would do is go income from any source, no. Total monthly income, 0. Now it all matches, right? No. HUD verification, all no. Total monthly income, 0, because there's 0 there. But what if it turned out that the $250 was correct? Let's say she's getting $250 in SSI. How do we fix that? Because if we go into HUD verification, everything says no. Well, here's what we would do. We would either click on the pencil here under a monthly income. There's 3 different ways we can get there. We can search through all the different options here until we find SSI. There it is. Click on the pencil there. We can click on the magnifying glass, find SSI, and click on the pencil there. Or go into HUD verification and click on the pencil there. We can do any of the above, right? And what we want to do is just make sure that we change the total monthly income to 250, because in this situation, we'll say this is correct and not HUD verification. We'll click on the pencil. We'll put in $250. We'll say yes, and we'll hit save. So there we go. 250, 250, yes. HUD verification, yes. So now everything matches up logically. There is no logic error. We're saying yes, 250, and this one is yes, 250. All 3 questions make sense. They're adding up together. They're all matching. And that's all we would have to do to fix this kind of error. And this can happen often on an interim as well, where let's say the client gets a different income, and let's do that here. So let's say it's now May 12th. We'll do an interim, add interim review, update, May 12th. And let's say her SSI went up to $500. Right? Usually SSI changes in January, but for the sake of this, we're going to do an interim here just for you guys to see. We want to make sure we go to HUD, COC, and ESG update. This should be the default, but if not, like we just saw here, let us know and we'll fix it. All right, and what we're going to do is we are going to go in and change the SSI to $500. We click on the pencil. We're going to put an end date of May 11th, 2021, because we're saying that the change happened on May 12th and we don't want any date overlap. We're going to hit save and add another. We're going to change that to 500. We're going to say yes. We're going to say it's SSI, and we're going to hit save. And now we have a history. Let's click on the magnifying glass just to show you. Let's do source of income. And so we can see here from April 6th to May 11th, they were making $250. And on May 12th, it went up to $500. We have an entire training just on interims, and then a second one just on income interims. So please refer back to those if you want a more of an in-depth look on interims, more of a refresher. So what we have here is we've got everything showing a perfectly done interim, and we show that the income is done. Now, a common mistake after updating the interim is forgetting to update that total monthly income question as well. We know that they're currently making $500 because that's their current open SSI. And some people will just go do and hit save and exit because they're in a rush or it's the end of the day or they just forget. People make mistakes. But when you make a mistake like this, it will come up as an error on your APR or whatever reports we run for income. And you'll be told, hey, there's an error. Can you go figure it out? In this case, you know, if we just leave this at 250, you're going to get an error. So we just want to change it now that we finished the interim and make it $500. There we go. 500, 500. And that's all we have to do. That's all we have to do to correct that original error. And we've also shown you how to prevent making an error in your interims by remembering to make sure all three of those questions add up together. Let's look at one more client in this training. We're going to do 2 clients per training. So let's go back to client 1. We've done Brandy Rhodes, and now we're going to do Orange Cassidy. We're going to go take a look at him. And let's see if we can figure out what's wrong with his account. And again, we don't have to do 3 letters. We can, doesn't matter. Let's do search. There's Orange Cassidy. And let's go into his account here. Again, we're looking through the project start date. We aren't changing the date. We want to look and make changes here rather than the client profile, because under the entry X and interims, everything auto backdates. That way, if you don't forget to backdate, you won't make mistakes in the client profile. And more importantly, anytime you make a change to an account, you have to have an interim for it. And you can't do an interim on the client profile. So always make your changes under the entry and an interim that you make for that specific date and time. So as we can see here, there are no interims for this client. And let's say if we can find the income error. So we see yes from any source, total monthly income, 2,100. So what we should see is a dollar amount and a yes for some sort of income. Let's click on HUD verification. Hey, we can see yes, earned income. So we know that they've said yes, so that matches up. HUD verification says yes, income from any source, yes. So let's go look at that income. Let's go try and find it. And here we go, earned income. Do you guys see where the error is? All right. Earned income is $1,200, but total monthly income is $2,100. They aren't adding up. And most likely, this is one of 2 possible errors. The first is someone just made a typo. Maybe their finger slipped and this is supposed to be 2,100 or this is supposed to be 1,200. See how close they are? It's just that first 2 digits are interchanged. The other could be that maybe the client's income did change up to 2,100 and they just forgot to do an interim. They accidentally did the total monthly income change here. So what happens in this situation? Again, very similar to the one we looked at with Brandy. When you notice that the monthly income, the total monthly income for your project start date does not match up, go look at your records. Go look at the records, the pay stubs, whatever they said on the client intake, and see how much money they were actually making. And then we would just make the change. If this is $1,200 and that's correct, all we have to do is go 1,200. And if the 2,100 is correct, pencil. Right? That's all we have to do. We'd hit save. And now they match. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for these to match for the right date and time that we have in there. Again, let's say that both of these were right. Let's say that the 1,200 was right. And then it just turned out that the 2,100 turned out to be right later on. He got a raise. So what we would do is we know that he comes in with 1,200 and that we just somehow forgot to do an interim. We changed the total monthly income here, but forgot to do an interim and change the HUD matrix. So now under project start date, we make sure they're both 1,200. And then we would go up to the interim for the date of the income change. We'll say it's today, 5/12. Save and continue. We're going to go to the update. Let's do that. And then we're just going to make the changes. 2,100 here, because it turns out they were both correct. They were just at two different points in time. Click on the pencil, put in an end date. Again, we want it to be the day before the new income takes place, so there's no date overlap. We cover that in the actual full income training. And then we're going to hit save and add another. Receiving income source is yes. Income source, earned income. We hit save. And now we can click on the view gross income, because remember from previous trainings, view gross income shows the most recent income amount. 2,100, 2,100, they both match up. And we can also see here source of income. We can see 4/6 to 5/11, and then on 5/12 he got a $900 raise. Isn't that nice? $900 extra a month. And so we see a full snapshot of the client's financial history. And now everything looks good. And those are all the different solutions that there could be for this client. As you can see, just looking at the information, just being able to see that there was an error here, like how we saw that this was 2,100 or this was 1,200 and that was 2,100 and they weren't matching up. There are lots of different possible solutions to what we see on the screen. And the only way to know for sure is by having solid records on the agency side that we can refer back to when we have an HMIS error. Because income errors are the easiest to make and the hardest to fix. Oftentimes, there can be multiple ways to fix a problem, but only one of them will be right. And the only way we'll know it is right is by looking at those actual records of the client, their pay stubs, their income form that says how much income they're making, their self-reporting by just going to the client and go, hey, how much are you currently making? Were you ever making this amount at this time? Things like that. So there are many ways, as we can see, to fix this. It just depends on which turns out to be the right answer. And then it's just a different destination to get there. And that's what we've got for you today. These are two income errors. Again, nothing is really straightforward with income fixing, which is why we're doing a series of 4 trainings on it. I hope that this is helpful, that we could show you all the different possible ways that this error could have been and what the possible answers were. But again, really the only way you as a case manager or data entry person for Service Point are going to know what the right answer is by having those records and by getting a lot of experience with HMIS. As you get to know the clients and their financial history, you'll know what is the right way to fix this when you find an income error under your client's account. Thank you for joining me today. I hope this has been informative, and I look forward to meeting with you on the next 2 trainings on income error. Have a great day.